Hello and welcome back to the 410. My name is Adrian, your host, and we're back on a Taco Tuesday here, my favorite day of the week. Of course, a big show for you today. The Orioles put on a great performance with me in the building yesterday. We're going to talk about that. The Ravens Rockstar Draft this weekend. We got to get into that. Of course, the NBA action has been nothing but fantastic. We're going to talk about that and get into tonight's picks. Of course, before we do any of that, K-Hill Electric on standby for any electrical needs you may have, whether they're big, small. You let them know exactly what you need. You let them know you heard about them here on the 410, and they're going to be on the way with the best service and the best price in town, y'all. All right, the Orioles, I told you, the minute they got back in town, I was on the way with the crew down there to the stadium to get some answers. And we went down there. The Yankee fans, they were in the building expecting to put on a performance. But my goodness, Mr. Shigano, he had other plans for him. He shut them down for the most part. 5 innings, 8 strikeouts. He was rock solid. Of course, we got a little bit of hit in there. Mr. Warren, he pitched a good game for the Yankees, but we did get some runs early in the game. Mr. Laureano had 2 hits in the game. He drove in a run early on, and we had Mr. O'Hearn, big 3-run home run. That's all we needed to get the job done. We won this thing 4-3. The Mountain closed it out at the end of the game for us, getting his 4th save, and I was rescued from my tragedy, y'all. I thought that this was going to be a season that was going down in twos, but yesterday they definitely showed me exactly what I thought. We get a little bit of pitching, we got enough offensive production, whereas though if we have a little bit of pitching, we can hang around with anybody in the league. The Yankees, they're #1 in our division, and you see how we handled that. We got them up again today. Kyle Gibson to get on the mound. Hopefully he can continue the success that Mr. Shigano had yesterday. Of course, I'm definitely putting my bid in for him. Rookie of the year. He definitely did everything I could find yesterday to tell me that he would be the Rookie of the Year. He threw all kinds of pitches. He has a great arsenal. I'm telling y'all, man, Mr. Shigano is the real deal. Let's get into the Ravens NFL draft. Of course, we did a rock star performance again. We definitely added key pieces to the defense and got us some solid pieces on offense. Malachi Starks, we got him in the 1st round. He's going to do nothing but add value to the defense with Kyle Hamilton now being able to move around that Swiss Army knife role. He's good in coverage and he's good against the run. So that's definitely a great value for a defense that was already performing like the #1 defense towards the end of the year. Next round, we picked up another rock-solid performer on defense, Mr. Mike Green. He definitely had a checkered past, which is why he fell as far as he did. We looked him in the eye. We asked him, hey, man, we going to have any trouble out of you? He said, man, the only thing I'm trying to do is get to the quarterback. So with that mentality, adding him to the defense, that's a 1st-round pick, y'all, that we just added in the 2nd round. So now we have 2 1st-round picks that we added on defense to a defense that already was playing like the #1 defense at the end of the year. Next round, 3rd round, we know we needed to get that diamond in the rough on the line. And that's what we do in the 3rd round. And that's what we did. We got Mr. Emory Jones Jr. straight out of LSU. He's been on their line being a rock-solid performer, the leader on their line for the last couple of years. I think he'll bring that same veteran leadership over here to the Ravens, and he'll just continue to build on those diamonds that we pick up on the line later in the draft. Next up, of course, we had Mr. Teddy Buchanan. You know, he's a linebacker, mean linebacker out of California. So he'll do nothing but boast of that linebacker core that we need a little bit of help with down there. I think really going into the year, that's the only thing I can really think of that we need is a little bit more linebacker help. And I mean, everything else on the defense is solid. Maybe we need another lineman, but man, we look good going into the preseason, y'all. We picked up Bilal Cone. He's a cornerback, so that's adding more value over there. He's a great player, has great metrics. After that, of course, this was the big pickup, Tyler Luke. Of course, we picked him for the 1st time in the draft. We picked a kicker. So Justin Tucker, the writing may be on the wall there. We'll bring him into the training camp. We're going to see what goes on with Justin Tucker. But I think the Ravens have enough respect for Tucker not to drag him through the mud. I believe that they already know what needs to happen here. And I think Justin Tucker also knows what needs to happen. So most likely, we're going to end up losing a legend, y'all. And I hate it. And I hope that he can basically be vindicated from all of these allegations. But the black eye is there. And I think the Ravens just figure out, hey, it's just probably best that we set ourselves up to move on from this. But, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll keep him around. We'll see what happens there. Next pickup we got, I love this pickup here because I watched him all year with Shador, Mr. Wester, DeJounte Wester. He's very fast. He catches the ball. He moved out of that high-octane offense out of Colorado. So, of course, he'll be able to add to the mix there with our receiving core after we already added DeAndre Hopkins. But Of course, we needed our help more so on the return team. So I think we could throw him in as a returner. If he doesn't have stone hands, we got a solid one with a lot of wiggle back there to move around. After that, in the 6th round, we pick up Anise Peebles, another defensive tackle, help on that defense that we need on that line. Hopefully, we can build him up and get him in the mix, and he'll be of some value for us. Then another 6th round pick with Mr. Robert Longerbeam. That's another cornerback for us. Throw out there. Hopefully, we had a lot of success with these corners. Hopefully, we can build him up, throw him in the mix, and give us some depth there. Last but not least, we get Mr. Garrett Dillinger, another lineman, adding to the mix there. So we added 3 linemen, great defenders. We added a return man and a kicker. So it looks like we pretty much covered a lot of the bases there for the Ravens. So the only thing I can see is sitting back, seeing if anybody drops off of their team, a veteran or something that wants to be picked up. But we pretty much set up, y'all. Another great draft for the Ravens. Of course, now all we need to do is just see if we can execute when the time comes. And I think we'll have another excellent season and definitely be primed for this Super Bowl run. I don't see any reason why we can't make that happen this year.
Yeah. Hop little bunny.
Hop little bunny. Hop little bunny.
Jerry.
Hop little bunny.
Yay!
Moving into the NBA, of course, it's been nothing but fantastic the last couple of days now. I haven't seen you in a few days, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the last couple of days, what's been on. My goodness, the Grizzlies got swept. You already knew with Ja being down, that was going to happen. They kept that game close against the Thunder, though, but they bowed out gracefully here. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward with Ja, but definitely that's a conversation that the Grizzlies going to have. Of course, the Rockets, they lost to Jimmy Butlerless Golden State the other day, and then they turned right back around last night, and they catch the L last night. So the Rockets, they may be moving out of the playoffs here really, really soon. Of course, Sunday's games, the big game was Ant going up against the Lakers. They up 3-1. You know, Ant trying to take that torch from LeBron. He's not just trying to get it passed over to him. He's trying to take it. I don't think the Lakers can win 3 games in a row, but if there's anybody that I think they can get the job done, it will be somebody that led the league in scoring all time, like LeBron James. Him and Luka, all they got to do is put some magic together. They can get the job done, but 3 games in a row is a tall, tall task for anybody to ask. I don't know if they can get it done. If they can't, though, they didn't get put out by any bums. And you know he's the next one up. He's been doing his thing. Pacers and Bucks, of course, that terrible news there with Dame going down with that Achilles tendon injury. My goodness, they're talking about that's at least a year recovery time. So that means he'll be out all of next year and be returning for the year after that. I don't know if we've seen the last of Dame, y'all, but if we did, Dame's had a great career, and I hate that it ended this way. It just really sucks that it ended like that. Last night's game, of course, Donovan Mitchell, he went insane. He dropped 55 points to go ahead and rid the Heat of their season. They were ready to go hit the beach anyways. They knew they had nothing for Cleveland. This was a short series here. They'll move on. Next game up was the big game last night. The Rockets and the Warriors, they were fighting. They were doing all that you expect in this game here. It was very chippy. Everybody wanted to fight. You know, the Rockets know that they needed to win this game here, and the Warriors knew if they win this game, this was going to put them in a rough position here for the rest of the series, and that's exactly what the Warriors did here. Playoff Jimmy, he got the job done for him. He dropped 27 here. I think he had 14 or 13 in the fourth quarter there, and my goodness, they shut down the show for the Rockets, 109 to 106. 3-1. They're going back to Houston now. The Rockets got to win 3 games straight, but 2 of those games are in Houston. So is it doable? Yes. Possible? Yes. Likely? I don't think it's going to go down. I think Golden State will be moving on to the next round. Tonight's games, of course, big game with the Bucks and the Pacers to see if the Pacers can move on. Like we just talked about with Dame, he won't be playing, but they still have Giannis. I don't think Giannis is going to go out there and just lay down. So just on the strength of that, I'm taking Milwaukee plus this 7.5 only because Giannis is a warrior. He's not going to go out like any chump. I think Giannis will go out there and put on a good show and see if they can make it back to Milwaukee. Next game up is Detroit versus Knicks, of course. Little controversy in the game last game about a foul call at the end of the game. But I'm here to tell you, Detroit, I already seen how y'all get down. You got a dude on your team that I nicknamed the Viking Warlord, and you got Beef Stew on your team. So it's no way in the world you're going to complain about any foul calling going on when y'all actually hacking people the whole game. If you look at that report, I promise you, you're going to see Detroit with a whole bunch of fouls that weren't called compared to what New York had. So I'm not with all of that. The foul needed to be called at the end of the game. No, what you needed to do is you needed to go up stronger, and it didn't matter if he was flying at you, and make it no doubt that they had to call the foul. Don't try to shy away from the contact, any of that. That's why you lost the game. Go up strong. This game here, Detroit has to win. I'm going to take Detroit, in the points plus 5.5 they're getting tonight, because I feel like they're going to fight. They know they've lost a couple of games that they needed to win this series. I don't see Detroit winning 3 games in a row, 2 in New York. They let the opportunity slide from them. I think tonight is going to be a good game here. I think Detroit is going to find a way to make it back to the Motor City. Next game up is going to be the Celtics going up against the Magic. Of course, Boston, they didn't want to keep fighting with Magic, so I think they're going to put them out tonight. My goodness, the spread here is what, 9.5, 11.5 now. I think Boston to go ahead, they'll cover this because they don't want to keep playing with Orlando. They know they need to rest. They got a couple of people that are hurt, and they want to put them on rest mode right now. That way, the attrition doesn't set in towards the end of the playoffs here, and they have some bodies to go at whoever they got to see in the next couple of rounds. Next game, last game of the night is going to be the Clippers going up against the Nuggets. The Nuggets are at home here, but of course the Clippers, they've already showed you that they can win in Denver. I think if they have another strong game tonight, they'll get the job done here. But this series, I'm looking at it here, this series is probably going to go the distance here, 7 games. So your guess is better than mine about this game here. I'm going to take the Clippers minus the 1.5 in this game, but definitely the championship Jokic is always on tap here, and it's going to be a great game to watch. Thank you for your time today. Of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this. If you haven't already, please share it with somebody. Like everything that you see on here. We're going to continue to grow here on the 410. I'm telling you, y'all, the O's, they did their thing last night. Hopefully they can continue that same momentum today. I got to get me some tacos. You know it's Taco Tuesday, y'all. Once again, thanks for all your time. If you haven't already, check in with your family, friends. Make sure they're doing okay. This is Adrian here on the 410.